Oh, hi. It's your girl T, aka the nappy headed jojoba, here with a long overdue update. On a very regular basis, I get follow up questions about this video, which is from about 2.5 years ago, where I shared with you guys a recipe for a Prepoo detangler that changed my life. In general, I like to be very experienced or at least very well acquainted with anything that I'm sharing with you guys, whether it's just information or a product or a recipe. And in this case, that was not what happened in that video. I was so shocked and excited by the results that I had using that to detangle my hair that I had to share it immediately. And in the 2+ years that have passed since that video went up, I get questions on a very regular basis about whether I still use that recipe, whether I've changed it at all. And I've just been answering people one by one as things have gone along and time has passed. But I figure it's high time I did a proper whole ass video where I answer those questions once and for all. The first question, do I still use the Prepoo detangler recipe? Yes. Sometimes. It was certainly my go-to for a good 1.5 years after first discovering that recipe, and I went through many experiments with changing out amounts and different ingredients and things like that, and I'll talk about that more in a moment when I talk about how the recipe has changed, if at all. But in terms of whether I still use it, yes, I just haven't used it a whole lot in this year, 2018, simply because I haven't needed it as much. You may or may not know that I cut around 10 inches of hair off in January, a little more than 10 inches in some places, a little bit less in others, because those ends needed to go, girl. I cut off some extremely old, weathered, raggedy hair that was honestly making it far more difficult to care for my hair than I even realized until they were gone. Getting rid of those ends in January has made looking after my hair so much easier and, more importantly, more enjoyable for me this year. I haven't really needed to use that detangler because it's been easy enough to detangle my hair on my wash days just using oil or deep conditioner or whatever. When I do feel that my hair is more tangled than those types of products would probably allow me to detangle my hair in a short amount of time, that's when I break out that recipe. So there is the answer to that. Yes, I still use it, but I have used that recipe far less this year because my hair has just been way less bitchy to me. The next question, which is probably the more important thing to answer, is whether I have changed the recipe at all. Now, as I alluded to a moment ago, I have experimented with using different conditioners and maybe adjusting the amounts of oil or whatever within the recipe. And for the most part, it seems that I had more or less nailed it the first time. Even after experimenting with different conditioners from the one I used in that initial video, I have returned to the Trader Joe's Tea Tree conditioner as my favorite to use for that recipe, and I haven't deviated from that pretty much since late 2017. I mean, I was continuing to experiment in the year and a half after I first made that recipe, but I just kept coming back to the Trader Joe's conditioner because for me and my hair, it works the best and it really just makes that recipe sing. I'm not sure why I went Miranda on you guys there, but let's move on. There is one major change to the recipe, though, that I should share with you guys, and that is the amount of oil. In my original video, I had used 3 ounces of coconut oil, and that was because coconut oil was my primary detangler. That was the agent that provided slip for me in my detangling and made it easier for me to remove shed hairs and tangles. And because I would use approximately a metric fuck ton per detangling session, I felt that I needed that much to add to this mix the first time I made it. As time went on, I got kind of overwhelmed with the amount of oil in that mixture and the drippies on my head and the back of my neck. It was just, it was a bit much. I would have to sleep with a towel over my pillowcase, which I honestly still do just because I'm paranoid about things leaking, but I've cut down the oil amount in the recipe significantly. So here we go. Let's actually get into how the recipe looks now for me whenever I do make it. Despite much experimentation in the years and months that followed that initial video, the ingredients of what I use now have not changed at all. It's simply the amounts that have changed. So let's get into that. I still use extra virgin coconut oil, but now instead of 3 ounces, I only use about ½ ounce. I use 1 ounce of coconut vinegar, 3 ounces of conditioner. In my case, it is pretty much always the Trader Joe's Tea Tree Tingle Conditioner. 1 ounce of coconut cream, and I say this every time, the coconut cream I use, the only ingredient in it is coconut. It's not coconut and sugar or anything like that. that. It's basically coconut butter. Sometimes you'll see it labeled, or coconut mana, but the only ingredient in it is coconut. And that's pretty much it, aside from some essential oils, which I switch up based on my mood. A few personal favorites include carrot seed, rosemary, tea tree, and lemongrass, but honestly, I just pick up whatever I'm feeling like. And that is it. That is how I am making my Prepoo detangler recipe. It works for me just as well as it ever has. I like that I'm able to burn through less of my coconut oil stash with each batch of it. And I get less dripping on my face and my sheets and stuff, which is most important. And that should do it. Hopefully this will be helpful for those of you who have been wondering if there are ways to tweak and improve the recipe, which of course you can and should always do on your own anyway. Any recipe that you see from some rando on YouTube, you should tweak it to your own preferences and whatever you have available to you. Nonetheless, perhaps it was illuminating for someone out there to know how I am making it currently and how things have changed since I think it was July 2016 when I first made that recipe. So it's been quite a while, and yeah, it's still a part of my life. That is it, an uncharacteristically short video for me today because at least it was straightforward and to the point. Hopefully you guys are having a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm going to tell you that.